All right, welcome back. This is Black Lodge Trivia Night. I'm Art. I've been doing a run through of Darklands so far. I think I've done 4 parts to it. And so instead of getting ready for tonight's Pathfinder game that we're going to do the next Menace Under Otari, sorry, Matt, I thought I would take a little bit of time to jump back into Darklands. And let's get that going. The story continues, I think is what we want to do. Now, I think in the last session, I'm realizing it's sort of weird. So like looking at my OBS, I'm getting a pretty hot level, but then when I look on my audio interface, my levels are not that hot. So I'm not sure which is the one to be believed. I'm not sure why I'm getting such hot levels in OBS, and I feel like what I should do is I should turn on the limiter just to make sure that OBS doesn't get messed up. Okay, anyway, so here we are, and at one point I think in the last game I was like, oh, let me clean up some of my saved games. I actually almost deleted my main save game and would have lost everything, so that would have been fully expected, something I would very much do. I think back in the Windows 3.1 days, I think I deleted, was it Windows 3 or Windows 95? There was some file that was essential, like win95.dat or something like that. And I'm like, well, I need some hard drive space, and that thing's taking up like, 75 megabytes. Let's jettison that. And I killed the whole Windows install. So that's a little bit of my history with destroying stuff. I've deleted things my wife absolutely wanted me to back up. I deleted it when I was backing it up, so it's the worst of both worlds. But anyway, all right, so let's head back to Ramelsburg. It's February 11th in the year 1401, I guess. It's been a couple days since I played, so I might be a touch rusty. Remember last time we were sort of clearing these mines and we encountered a few riddles. I was able to solve the first one on my own. The second one, I had an idea of what it was, but I got thrown by, I was supposed to be using the numbers in the answer. I wasn't 100% sure, and I didn't want to waste your time, so I just sort of looked it up. And there's a bit of a conflict going on. There's 3 basic stories you can have for a mine there, and this one is like dwarves versus kobolds. This is all in the, again, the outstanding clue book that also, like, if you have the GOG edition at least, I think is part of the download. So what I did was I fought through, got hurt, so I decided off camera I'd run to town, heal up, and come back, when I was ready to be at full strength. And that's what I did. So what I discovered, though, that was not completely interesting, but not... That's interesting, all right. Is that the mines themselves were like the fog of war was sort of back in place. It was as if I didn't explore it. But what wasn't back was the enemies. So it seemed to remember that, on the first level, I fought a bunch of bears and yada, yada, yada. It seemed to remember that. I think what's happened now is that we've sort of jammed ourselves up. So in order to get back into being able to walk around, we sort of got to jar a few guys loose so the first guy can take the lead. Anyway, so it seems to remember that I cleared the first 2 levels of the mine. It didn't remember that I explored it, and I can't tell you 100% if it sort of configured. It did like some kind of new random generation when I got back into the mine, or if it was the same layout. I couldn't tell you. Anyway, so basically what we decided is, there are a couple of riddles, people are asking who are we going to help. I was leaning towards helping the kobolds because in this particular case, they're sort of like the slaves. So, I'm sort of taking that stand, taking a bold stand against people who own slaves. That's, it's not really much of a stand, I know, but. So anyway, So the way you decide who you help is by which ladder you go down. You go down the dwarf ladder, they all become hostile, and you have to take them out. And if you beat their boss, it's you've helped the kobolds. What I was reading in the clue book is that helping the dwarves might actually be the easier path, but you get less good stuff, I guess. And my fear is that I'm actually going to be like pretty underpowered, and this is going to just kick the crap out of me. Let me just make sure again, looking at my hot sheet. Quick saves, Alt S, Alt L. Okay, I guess Alt S just to boom. And it's now 9. So as you can see from the timestamps, it's been a little while since I've had this game going. I recorded a whole bunch of it, and I wanted to space them out a little bit because, I don't want this stuff to overshadow what we do with the role-playing games. At the same time, playing these games is really fun. It is technically role-playing content. Maybe there's some people out there who haven't seen this in a little while and are curious for the first time. Let's see. This is mine 3. Third level on the mine. I'm kind of curious. I looked around. Before I decided to do this, I was like, I was watching other people play, right? Because I'm curious, and I enjoy this game a lot. And if I was looking for something to watch, and it's getting to the point where I tend to now. This is actually something I'm not thrilled about. I tend to watch more YouTube than I watch, normal programming when I'm here at my desk doing stuff. There are multiple seasons of The Expanse that I would love to watch, and I just never think to do it because I get distracted by this stuff. So and also, since we've started Black Lodge Trivia Night, I've been watching a lot of well, not a lot, but I've been watching other people's like actual plays. Because I want to make sure, not that I'm necessarily looking to copy people, I just want to make sure that we can provide professional is the wrong word, but an adequate video. So I sort of take a look around, I see what other people are doing. Say like, okay, like what are they doing? What can we improve on? What do we like? Are we hitting a basic standard? And usually I feel like role playing aside, I don't claim to be like some expert role player. I just have a great time doing it. But I feel like, for the most part, we, make something that is watchable, is listenable, which is something that, and maybe it's because I do a lot of the editing. I've become more sensitive over the last couple of years to how bad some stuff sounds on the interwebs. I don't know if it's due to COVID when everybody started. I was going to say that looked like a secret door there. When everybody started recording everything from home, and everybody's like, "Oh, let's just do it on my Apple earbuds." And I'm like, "Hey, Daily Show." Or, not to call them out specifically, but like, hey, guy who's, a professional, whatever, doing this with with in theory, like a support team of professionals, like you could do this with a little bit more panache, a little bit more quality. But it's also at the same time, what that also taught me is that maybe nobody in the real world actually cares. Like maybe a lot of what goes into some forms of television production is just who cares, right? Like if I'll use 2 shows that I don't watch in either way. But if Joe Rogan and The View each turned into like recorded Zoom calls, I imagine like the people that enjoy those shows would still show up, right? And I know there's things you get from being in the room with a person and having a discussion and being able to react. And I get that even from, when we play our games. Sometimes it's hard to riff off of the other player, or you accidentally step on something they're about to say. So I get the things like that. But anyway, having said all that, I've still been a little more sensitive to what people put out there. And again, like I said, it might be because I edit these, so I have to listen to what we do the most. I mean, Matt does a lot of the audio, so, but I try and make it so I do some of the heavy lifting up front with the video, because that can take the longest. And then I try and hand off what I do to Matt to help him save a little bit of time. I don't know if it does or not, but if there's the chance that it does, then I think it's worth, whatever. And so I get very sensitive to having to listen to our voices. And if I were listening to our voices and they were coming in like you're doing it with like a cheap pair of earbuds or something, I think it would sort of not drive me crazy per se, but I do some of this stuff for a living, right? Like I'm a video editor. I work on television commercials. And so the level of quality I'm used to is somewhat of a certain standard. And I feel like the way things are going with home equipment across, with anything, that if you want to go make a movie, like it's easier now than ever to go make a movie. I'm not saying it's easy to make a movie, but the gear you can go buy for $5,000 is really good. And the same is true for audio. So if you put a little effort into it, you can get your audio to, not that my audio sounds great, but I feel like if nothing else, what I'm trying to do is I want it to sound like you're kind of in the room with me. So I don't try and go for like an overly broadcast sound quality. I think I said this before, make it sound as much as like my voice, but like 30% less irritating. And I feel like that's, something worth shooting for. Now, the reason why I'm saving it here is because there's 2 ladders down. We've got this one, and I think we found the other one. One of these leads to where did I put it? One of these leads to the dwarves. One of them leads to the kobolds. And there's a way to tell. And I think when you're looking at the waterfall, I think that leads you to the dwarves, but I just want to confirm by looking in my clue book. So anyway, it's just a long-winded, rambling way of saying, like, I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I don't know if I don't see a lot of current Darklands playthroughs, and I guess why would there be? But so maybe if you're looking for new Darklands content, this might be the only store in town. Okay. Yeah, so we're doing the megalomaniac dwarf. That's the story path of this mine. Let's see. The King Path is also a series of 3 levels. The uppermost is infested with gnomes and dwarves and has a simple ladder downward. So I'm not sure. So I want to kill the dwarves. So let's see. The Treasure Path is a series of 3 levels. The uppermost is infested with gnomes and kobolds, has a puzzle door. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Let's see. The king path is the direct route to the source of the problem. Unfortunately, you cannot deal with the problem with brute force alone. You'll need agility, missile, 15 different potions, or something the king really wants, such as his treasure. The treasure method is the most reliable. This means taking the treasure's path first, then the king path. The king path has dwarf opponents and an open ladder to the levels below, while the treasure path has gnome opponents and a puzzle door. Okay, so it sounds like you want to. There's different tricks, like the dwarf king can't be defeated while he's wearing his hat, and yada yada yada. Again, I know I keep saying this, but again, this feels like a lot for a game that comes on 5 1/4 floppies in 1992. I have no idea. So basically, the treasure path is a series of 3 levels. The uppermost is infested with gnomes and kobolds, and has a puzzle door. So I don't know which one this is. Let's just go down it. So if we got puzzle doors, then I think we're good. Because it sounds like the enemies are kind of the same either way. Right. So anyway, I was saying the long-winded way of saying, I forgot to turn off. You're going to see friends of mine that just started Starfield. I was watching, like I mentioned the very first one, like Josh Sawyer of Pillars of Eternity, Icewind Dale 2 fame has done a playthrough of this, but what do we got? But he didn't put the whole thing up on YouTube, and I don't know if the whole thing is available on Twitch either. This might be a kobold. Let's see if we can get a couple people in there so it's flanked. And he's also got a hammer, which might do better against this kind of rock enemy. All right. And there's a part of me that really wishes that whole playthrough is available, because a lot of the times, he's just reacting like anybody to what's on the screen in front of him or to what people are typing. But what people type, let's travel individually. What people end up typing are a lot of times questions about different things that, could be pretty interesting. And it's not always Darklands related, but, because he is who he is, it could be pretty interesting in terms of overall the thought processes behind game development or game design. Because I have to confess, I don't know how most people feel about his games, but the ones that I know that he had a hand in are all ones that I like. I know he wasn't the lead on Icewind Dale 1, but I think he had a decent hand in it, because you don't just jump from Icewind Dale. You don't just become Icewind Dale's lead designer, Icewind Dale 2's lead designer without something, right? In theory. And I really like Icewind Dale 2 as well, but even I think Josh will admit that it was kind of a rushed thing going on. And, they did the best they could. And I think overall the game turned out pretty well, but I imagine it's not exactly what they were hoping for. Icewind Dale 1, I think I've said, might be my favorite Infinity Engine game of the whole lot. This is a arrow trap. Okay. Okay. Anyway, so like his stuff is worth watching, obviously, because he's going to have much more insightful things to say than I ever would. But I'd be curious what was lost in the discussions that occurred on like the other 30 Twitch streams or however long it took. Okay, so we've got a save. So this looks like a puzzle door, so I think we might be on the right track. A heavy iron door, red with rust, confronts you. This must be the entrance to the kobold realm. You approach and see a kobold through the grate. He squeaks at you. Our place, go away. You decide to ignore the warnings, force open the door, and enter the kobold's home. Heed the request and leave the door untouched. So here's the trick. It sounds like, based on the clue book, the easiest way to deal with the whole mine is to get the treasure, take it to the dwarf master, and say, look, we'll give you your treasure if you get out of here. And because otherwise you have to have like 15 potions. You got to have a bunch of stuff that it wants, it sounds like, in order to get it. You're basically bribing it to leave. So I'm not going to lie. I wasn't. Or maybe there is no, I mean, yeah, I guess you could just sort of brute force your way through the, okay. Bursting through the rusty red door, you see a mob of seething kobolds waving tools and weapons. You try to greet them, but they gibber. We see that we were foolish folk to ever trust a human's word. Now you've betrayed, attacked us here. We'll have to put you to the sword. Uh-oh. Evidently breaking into the kobold's realm has offended them. With a shrill battle cry, they charge. You must fight. So here's the thing. How do people feel if you were going to make your poem rhyme? Is it enough for the words to look alike? Is a poem meant to be read, or is there meant to be an auditory component? So like here, human's word put you to the sword. I don't care if poems rhyme, but this is clearly trying to do something specific. And it's, ooh, these are different. What are these? Are these the kobolds? What were we finding? Oh, those might have been just gnomes. Is there one over here? Nope. There you go. 3, let's attack. And then 2, attack. Let's see how this goes. I think I just saved, so hopefully... We're definitely overwhelmed with numbers, but we are also... Well, Henri's getting wrecked. I was about to say... So this actually might not be... Eckhart also got wrecked. Henri's down but not out. I think he'll pop up because his stamina's gone, but he's still pretty hurt. So my fear is that I'm actually not equipped to do 3 levels or whatever we have to do in the next room. But let's at least take a look, because I think I just saved, so... But if it's just like a gauntlet of like kill kobolds every 5 feet. Then we have a problem, because I will not be able to survive, I don't think. Because here's the problem is that I have not, what I need to do and what I should have been doing before I got here is focusing on the alchemy I needed to make health potions. I don't think I have a saint that can help us heal. Wait, was there a... No. I was going to say, was there a door? There was. I opened it. There just wasn't anything there. Okay. So as you can see, the thing little pops up. You know, a friend of mine is playing Starfield. I you know, here on Black Lodge Trivia Night, we've done a little Starfield, and see, the problem is like, look just how many there are, right? At least now, maybe one. They get a little bit funneled. So we're not getting flanked or swamped. I don't know why I'm sending Henri to the line. He's going to go down faster than anybody in the group at the moment. But he's got the halberd, though. But Starfield's been pretty good. It's, you know, it's kind of exactly what you expect from a Bethesda game in some ways, but it's nice to have it be that kind of sci-fi bent. Okay, so we're starting to mow through them. One-on-one, they're not imposing, but you know, definitely check it out if you're interested and you want to get a sense of how it plays. If you are, ooh, look at that! You just that's for real health. That's not the stamina health. What's his armor? Is it just garbage? Let's take a look. There we go. Leather. I mean, that's not the worst. It's not amazing, but it's not the worst. So part of what I'm doing now is probably wasting my time, but also oh, you know what? I was doing 13. I was doing timestamps 13:29. Because if you remember, it seems like it remembered what levels of the map I cleared when I left and came back. So the more I can clear of this, the easier it might be when I have to jump out, jump back. But yeah, Starfield, I was really struggling with, you know, I don't know if this is just me being an old man. I was really struggling, not really struggling. I found the gamepad UI on the PC a little frustrating. Which, after playing Skyrim, I think one of its greatest achievements is just how easy it is to jump in. It's never, nothing about it is ever super hard if you don't want it to be, right? It never gets in the way of you seeing everything. You know, the quests aren't that hard. The combat's never quite that hard if you don't want it to be. Getting around's not hard. Navigating the world, the UI, none of that's hard, at least in my experience. And Starfield, the UI has to do more because there's a lot more parts. Okay, let's see. Whoosh. Slab of stone pivots under your feet and you slide down into a pit. Okay. You are left below to await whatever hideous doom the dwarves devise. Will they bake you to death, dissolve you in quicklime? Okay, so let's see. Last time we were able to do human pyramid. Let's see what happens if we send Sigrun up, our best climber. Oh, doesn't... she almost gets to the top, then slips and comes crashing back down to the rock floor, slightly injuring herself. You consider what to do next. Let's try that human pyramid again, see if it works. Ooh, failed this one too. Placing your feet atop one another's shoulders, the hapless folk at the bottom grunt and complain. Suddenly, Sigurd at the top slips. His arms windmill frantically, but slowly, with inexorable majesty, he topples backwards, bringing the rest of the pyramid down with him. Your ludicrous escape attempt has failed. I like that it's ludicrous. Uh-oh, the dwarf who dug the pit is here. The dwarf looks over the lip of the pit and cackles. Close friends beneath me shall soon be more close. You hear a loud grating noise, and the pit walls start to move together, threatening to crush you. To escape this death trap, you talk to the dwarf. Your pleas for help go answered. Desperately, you try to scramble up the closing walls. Henri is too slow. He's crushed. Oh! Interesting. So Henri is got... Okay, I'm going to load. Yeah. I just did a timestamp, so I got to look for today's date, which is 14. There we go. But yeah, so anyway, like Starfield's stuff has to do more work in my mind. And because of that, certain aspects of the controller have multiple uses. So you have to hold for one, tap for another. There was one instance I mentioned where like the button, the information on the bottom was telling you what would happen if you press the button, not which one you were currently on. And so I kept looking at it, like, it tells me, you know, I'm doing this. But what it was telling me is if I push the button, it would switch to the one that was doing this that I actually wanted. Little things like it tells you about 8 different button prompts when you're looking through equipment, but it doesn't tell you that the A button equips it, right? Like, not that you can't figure that out. It's like, oh, I guess by process of elimination, the one button that they haven't mentioned yet is the one that equips. I have no idea, but it's just like little things like that. And like getting around the map, you know, I just have to figure out, are there shortcuts to, is this the same pit? Is that where it was? Let's call on a saint first. We haven't done that yet. Patron saint of fishermen and an apostle known for ignoring danger, he was saved from prison by an angel. Increases strength, common, Latin, healing, charisma, edged weapons by a large... Okay, blah, blah. Causes temporary loss of half the character's perception. Oh, that's interesting. So right now you have to start deciding then how much divine favor you want to spend, right? So right now we have a success chance of 0. Let's see what happens when we blow all of our... Okay. Interesting that Henri is so bad at it. I guess I do have potions I could be using in combat. I don't know if it would help me. Okay, that failed. That failed. You begin the tedious work of digging out. Your lack of skill in the art of working stone and dirt does not help. Okay, so the dwarf is here. So that's... So he dumps snakes on us, so it's a different death trap. Somebody's been bitten. Gloating, the dwarf leans over the pit again. You must not die just yet. There are more traps to come, which you'll soon enjoy. Oh, in your tiny room. So now it's probably... Ooh, he's pouring quicklime. Okay, now the walls are starting to crush us. Again, I lost Henri. So now I'm wondering if it's just the mere act of entering this room is going to trigger this trap. I thought I had rope, and I thought that would help, but apparently not. Anyway, having said that, you know, Starfield is definitely another Bethesda game, which for me in a lot of ways is a good thing. I was saying this in like the last stream I did. It's very easy to play a Bethesda game. You know, it's not quite MMO levels where you just sort of can tune out and tap buttons, but it's not always intensely beyond that, or it doesn't have to be. You know, I was doing a quest the other night where, you had to, kill an alien, but it was too tough for you, so you had to sort of create a trap. And it was just, click 3 boxes and then that activates the trap, then click 3 boxes and then, you didn't have to do, it was pretty mindless. I sort of half beat it by accident. I did the things that I was supposed to do and then somehow whatever was supposed to happen next sort of happened without my intention. I was just like, oh, okay, I guess it happened. And I was like, yeah, fine. Okay. Moving on. For me though, what I do like about it is it's a sci-fi game. So far any combat I'm going to engage in is going to be shooting. And I feel like that works way better than first person Melee or Bethesda Melee, if that makes any sense. I've never cared for it in Skyrim, and I don't think I would care for it here. And I think luckily the setting sort of means you don't have to. It's going to be more shooting based. Okay, so I'm going to send C card out. Nope. Okay, what I'd love to be able to do is tell everybody to attack together, like the single file. I wish there was an attack for that, and it would just sort of tell whole party go. But we haven't gotten to that point yet with real time with pause games. So that's okay. How come you didn't essentially pioneer this style of CRPG combat and get it perfect in the first try? It's not a position I'm going to hold. I appreciate Henri's moxie, but I kind of need him to hang back. I haven't spent as much time out in... Oh, look at that. Holy crap. Let's see if we can do a little crossbow action. It's the other side for combat, and it's A. No, not A. It's M for missile. Let's see if we can get some shots off at least, so they're doing something. Maybe not. Okay, what about you, Sigrun? Can you missile anybody? Well, let's get Sigrun in there at least. Now, Sigrun is actually... I don't know if she's just well armored. I don't know what's going on. She seems to be able to... Oh, now she's taking some hits. Okay. Henri might be about to go down. So let's have Henri parry. So that the other guy can get time and... Nope. Still went down. Oh, Sigurd went down. Okay, for the... I'm going to leave because I'm going to reload. So yeah, so I'm a little nervous that what I need to do is I need to leave and come back, which is not terribly exciting. Let's see, I was looking at 914 and it was this one. Let's load that. Let's see. No. Okay, so now we've got some of this going. Let's see if 3 missile. So I'm trying to figure out, like, no, they're getting into the backfield. Like in Icewind Dale, you could use terrain to create choke points and then block people off so people in the back could keep using missile weapons. But this game seems to have more strict line of sight rules for missiles. So this basically went the worst of all of them. And that's okay. The miners issue forth from their huts. They amble glumly towards you. The defeat in your eyes tells them everything they need to know. One of them tries to cheer you up. Not even Charlemagne's knights could have cleared out that mine. Dwarf cunning and dwarf magic and dwarf traps are too much for human ingenuity. It's not your fault. Somehow you don't feel any better. Waving goodbye, you proceed on your way. The miners are already packing their few. I'm not going to let that stand. But it's interesting. The mine's gone, right? So let's load. All right, so given that, there might be a little bit of just chillin' going on here. Let's, we can't proceed. So again, we need to sort of get people to move so that then we can move the party leader. And then once the party leader can go, I'm not sure why the party leader can't go at all. Not sure why he can't go. That's part of the trick. I'm going to go back a little bit further. Okay, so basically we've got the trap here, and then somewhere down here is where the last fight was. So what I think I need to do is clear out. Well, let me just... Okay. Long time ago, I played the first Neverwinter Nights game that BioWare made. And got it when it first came out. Enjoyed it, but only because we played in co-op. A friend of mine and I played in co-op, and I gotta tell you, those early days were rough. Worth it, but rough. I didn't really explore most of this level. Not that I'm equipped to. But this will be a good, this might be a good test to see, like... does it rearrange the level when you come back? Anyway, so, based on, I don't know if it was 3rd edition or 3.5 D&D, a really good game, especially in co-op, but in the early days, there was I probably mentioned this at some point, there was a glitch where if the game crashed when it was like auto saving, or if it auto saved during a transition, it could corrupt your whole save game and wreck it. So there was something like to that degree. And, you know, and it was, you know, before the days of Steam. So like you actually had to know people's like IP address. You had to open up ports. There was some real work to get it running, but we had a blast once it got a little more stable. And, you know, once we had the procedure down to just go. And that game had a way for you to rest basically anytime you wanted. And while I appreciated it in the moment because you could just then blow through everything, like there'd be things, in some ways it was really to the detriment of the game, because you would be in the middle of a fight, and as long as like my friend could stay alive, I could run far enough away that it wouldn't stop me from saving. It considered me like out of the fight. I could rest, get all my spells and hit points or whatever back, and then run back into the fight. And then if my friend needed to, or once it was three of us, my friend and my brother, you know, and you could just sort of tag team, you know, fights like that. And it's sort of, I don't want to say trivialized, but it's definitely not the way that D&D is meant to be played. So I don't know if it, you know, but the game lets you do it, right? So having said all that, there's a part of me that wishes can I make camp? That wishes I could rest here in, see, during battle. See, right now we're in sort of battle mode and not really, but let me see. There's a way to do it when you're in the overworld map. And for some reason, I'm not seeing it here, and I don't know why, but I know I saw something about making camp. Well, whatever. I don't know what level we're on. One thing I had trouble with when I was, you know, leaving the first time is using the ladder is the same on every single level except for the entrance. Because then what you're doing is you're not just using a ladder, you're leaving a battle. And so for the longest time, I couldn't figure out, like, wait a minute, what's wrong? Why am I not leaving? But that was why, because it's a different button, because it's a slightly different context. Again, it's stupid. Like, I should just stop exploring with one hit point or whatever. One thing I'm thinking about is I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to make my play sessions longer. It's trickier, you know, I've said when I'm on camera, it's a little, but maybe I got to stop not worrying about like, oh, do I seamlessly make it look like I never left or anything like that? And maybe just like stitch a couple play sessions together just so it's not overwhelming the feed quite so much. And that's the main reason. And also, because sometimes you just don't get a lot done in 45 minutes or whatever, as you're watching right now. So like I was saying, we're doing the second official session of Menace under Otari tonight. And I'm really looking forward to it. The first session, it's been a little while, so I have to confess, I'm going to be a little rusty. I think we all might be a little rusty, and that's fine. But the first session, I had stuff going on sort of around me, so to speak. I don't have like a dedicated lock myself away recording area. And if you watch the session, I'm in like a basement room. You can see like the cinder block walls behind me because we haven't painted them yet. And it's just, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of like noise around me that I was trying to mute for. Didn't go great. I had technical issues because I wasn't using my dedicated setup, yada, yada, yada. And just got to be a bit of a mess. And so part of it was I was half paying attention to what was going around me and half paying attention to the game. So I think here, now that we're here, I don't think it's U. I think we want to hit X because we're leaving the battle. So it's U most of the time for U's, but when you want to leave the mine, it's X. Anyway. So I confess, I'm really looking forward to tonight because I feel like it's going to be the first time where I really get to play Pathfinder, if that makes sense. I can, not have so many distractions. I can really focus on what's going on. It's the second time we've been dealing with some of the mechanics. I'm going to go in the broad daylight. They're going to charge me a tax. That's fine, a toll. We want to go to the inn and we want to take up residence. Everybody's hurt, so everybody needs to do a little regain. And then again, spend. Again, you hit S a second time, and we've got a little bit of money, but not a ton because we went shopping. I don't know if I did that on camera or not. Okay, so now C card. Oh, still saying regain strength. So now he can earn money. Who else can earn money? Okay, so now hopefully I come close to breaking. Nope, I'm going up again. Good. So this isn't too taxing, right? Like I just did this off camera because who wants to see me run back to town and I still have yet to I still have yet to play Diablo 4. Speaking of being able to bounce back and forth different places, blah, blah, blah. Let's leave. I had a good time with the third one. Gonna walk out the front door. And let's head back. I feel like the Diablo series is a good one for like quality of life features. It sort of shows like where we've gotten to. Okay, so here we are. We're back in the thing. And I can't recall if this is different or not because I don't remember. I thought we came from the bottom. So my hope is that it's a different layout, but it's clear. And that we can just sort of walk around and do whatever. But I truly don't remember 2 minutes ago because I was blathering. One thing I want to figure out, I think I said this maybe I didn't say this. I think my camera has auto white balance on. I got to shut that down or something. Sometimes when we're in game, like if I, sort of do this, if I change my head just a little bit, all of a sudden the camera really blows out the image. And I don't know why. It's doing something with the auto balancing. But I got to figure that out. Just shut it off. Because I feel like if I just leave off, it can't do autofocus because of the lens I'm using. It can't. So maybe I should just shut off a lot of the auto stuff since it's mostly dialed in. I think it's mostly in focus. It's close enough. So again, I don't know if this is exactly where this was before, but we're back. It's going to be the same riddle. Let's see. Now that I remember the riddle. All kobolds love to drink. No gnome is ever truthful. I think it was somebody was a dwarf, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's done. Yeah, see, I'm already turned around, so maybe I needed to go. Well, you know what? Like, last time I tried to cut this out, but I mean, I did cut it out, but now you can sort of see, like, it's not a huge deal. It's not like you lose 47 minutes of progress if you... All right. Making our way. Maybe I should have invested in more better armor for Henri. I don't know how much money I have. Somebody open the door. Again, I have no idea if this is the right direction. I felt like I remember sort of mostly going down and to the left. But maybe that's completely false because they've rearranged the corridors. I have no idea. I don't recall this layout, but that again could be my own thing. Okay. Let's start breaking. Nope. Q. So now, having played maybe 6 or 7 hours of Starfield, there's a couple things, I mentioned in the Starfield thing. Like I getting around in the city is a real pain in the butt, I'll say. And I spent a lot of the beginning in a city, so it's been a little bit of a hassle. There you go. Help the kobolds. And there was a part of me when I was playing Starfield that kind of wanted to get back to this. I've been really enjoying this. There's a simplicity to its old age and clunkiness that I appreciate. And the little bit of frustration I'm experiencing with this game is just that I don't have health potions. If I had health potions, I could sort of get through this. Because the fights the fights aren't too bad. It's just I can't heal. I think our Pathfinder game tonight's going to open pretty heavy on the combat. It's been interesting. We were doing a Savage Worlds game. I mentioned Deus Vult. Might have been prepping for that with the last session. And we ran and it was fine. It was fun, as always. But it was very combat heavy. And coming off the session I had run a few days before with my sci-fi game, same rule set. Both games are Savage Worlds. The Savage Worlds one was Savage World. They're both Savage Worlds. The M-Space science fiction one, in some weird ways, was more fun, just because it wasn't combat. It was just the guys doing dumb shit, and that was a blast. Then when we got to the Deus Vult one, it was a combat session. I don't have a ton of them, but this one was a lot of combat, and I think the combat mechanics in Savage Worlds are actually pretty good for the most part. They're crunchy, but they don't feel slow. It's a really nice balance, but even so, it's kind of like, oh yeah, but like all the dumb shit that happened the other night was really funny. And I missed that a little bit. At the same time, and it's weird because, as a kid, I lived for when the combat started. So again, I have no idea if this is the same as when we were last here. We didn't get super far in this level, but we're almost essentially, for all intents and purposes, back to where we were, I think. Oh no, we were one more level down, I guess. Just want to get close enough to open that door. There we go. Just to double check. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save just because we've gotten through a lot of this. If I were to stupidly fall in a trap or something that I missed earlier. Let's see. 09. It's interesting how much longer it takes to save. I don't know if it's because we're in battle mode or if just, as the game progresses, will the saves get slower and slower? Some people might, whenever I don't know if you see me reaching, I have a mute button here. So I'm muting so you don't have to listen to me hack up a lung or whatever I'm doing. This feels different. And maybe that's just because I never explored this part of the map, but this doesn't feel like what we had to do last time. I don't remember that long passage. Maybe this is the level we left at. When I was doing my Elden Ring playthrough, I was off camera for most of that. And there were times where I would hit mute and then forget to unmute. And so then I'd talk for like 30 minutes and then realize that was all gone. And I was like, oh, shit. But then I'd feel stupid. So what I would do is I would go back and drop voiceover in. So it wasn't quite as obvious that I had left myself on mute for 40 minutes. I wonder if that's how some YouTube people make their videos. They actually play the game and then... So now this might be the thing. I thought I was reading in the clue book that one of the levels, like the dwarf path and the kobold path, connect on the second level. So this might be the second level of 3. And we just have to find the kobold path one more down. So it might be the case that the first level is different. The second level... Ooh. Let's 1 attack, 4 attack. Can you attack? 1, can you attack? What I want to do is I want to get enemy info. What are we dealing with? A hellhound. That's what I was afraid of. So 1 is attacking. Can 4 get in there to lend a hand? Strong opening. Can we take a shot with say a crossbow? Or a bow? No. What about Sigrun? What happens if you move up a little bit? Can you get a shot in with a crossbow? No? So it seems like it's attacking Seacard. Is there any advantage to Seacard parrying and letting Eckhard deal the damage? I genuinely don't know. That might be a tactic. I'm just trying to piece together. Like, there's certain things about this game that have a lot of detail, a lot of rich detail, like, you know, the way it was calculating armor. We were talking about that in one thing. And makes me wonder if there's detail to be found in the tactics, or is it just in the bookkeeping, because behind the scenes bookkeeping is something that a computer is able to do decently. Anyway, in spite of all that, I am kind of looking forward to tonight's Pathfinder combat, because part of what makes me curious about Pathfinder, especially the second edition, now that that's what we're doing, is how it departs from 5e. You know, I've played a little bit of 5e, and it gets the job done, right? Mostly I play it with my kids. I run stuff, or they play it with their cousins. And it gets the job done. It's what a lot of people are familiar with. But I feel like Pathfinder is willing to go more crunchy and get more out of it. You know, it's a tough thing, right? Like, they sort of made a choice. Like, their choice was, let's go more crunchy. Let's do a little bit more with the basic kind of D20 idea and see what happens. On the flip side, you know, part of me wants to save this for like a Bookhouse Boys or something. I don't know when it would ever happen, but I've been doing a little bit of reading with Cortex Prime. I think I mentioned on our last Damn Fine Coffee that I brought it with me on vacation, read it, and sort of bounced off of it because the Cortex Prime game book, or whatever it's called, I later found out was not really intended to teach a new player how to play the game. Another hellhound, okay. It was meant to have, you know, give people who knew the system what they need to sort of homebrew it, put together their own game. You know, like if you wanted to adapt it for a certain setting, it's like, hey, you could try this, or you could try that. You could try interacting with this. If you want to use this kind of hit point instead of that hit point, you know, sort of use these mechanics to make it Cortex Primey, you know, all that kind of stuff. So what I heard was that the way to really learn Cortex Prime is to get one of the games and read that, where it's already sort of been done for you. So I tracked down the one that jumped out the most for me was Firefly. You know, it's all licensed stuff. I don't care about Battlestar Galactica or Supernatural or whatever the games were. I just don't care. They have one out now that's also a license I don't care about. So I was like, let me go hunt down Firefly. It's out of print. It's hard to find, but I found a copy. I actually found like a really nice one. I was really happy because I love Firefly. So even if I knew that even if I wasn't like in love with Cortex or whatever, I might still want the material for setting material if I ever ran a Firefly game in another system, whatever. And so I'm reading the Firefly book, and man, this is, I won't go into it too much here. I think I might be really done with Cortex. I've never played it, which is part of the shame because I still want to at some point just to try it. But I'm going to finish reading the book in the next day or two, and just maybe there's something at the end of it that's going to salvage the problems I'm having reading the Cortex Prime game book and what I've read so far of Firefly. But woof, like I have never seen a game so like unwilling to explain at its basic level how it works to like a new player. Ooh, here we go. This might just be a mano a mano because of the hallway. Let me try pulling people back. Maybe I can create some. Of course, by the time I get everybody positioned, basically now, can I have one do a fighting retreat? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And the answer might be no. Can I have artillery support? No. Luckily, it's not a ton of damage, but it's, I'm just trying to sort of get back to where I was. I'm not looking to, quote unquote, be a hero. It's not letting me disengage, really. Anyway, so maybe at some point, I don't know if it'll be a Damn Fine Coffee or Bookhouse Boys or something. I'd like to talk about my impressions initially of Cortex. Because even though they are so far not positive, there's still something interesting, I think, that maybe could be had to the discussion. There's a video, and I'll try and remember to link it, I've linked it to a few guys over at the Alcoholic Adventures Cabal. And it's a really good video, and I can't remember who did it. That's why I'll try and remember to link to it. But it's basically like Fate. Why does everybody hate it? And the thesis of the video is that Fate is this one of the great systems out there that either nobody plays or people hate. And the reason why is because Fate doesn't have a good way to onboard people outside of Fate into the system and the settings and whatever. And so Cortex Prime, in my mind, is like Fate on steroids in a lot of ways. And part of that, unfortunately, is not being able to onboard new players on steroids. And I think that would be, maybe that's the Damn Fine Coffee discussion. Like, systems and how they make themselves available to a new player, right? You could argue, say, D&D's thing is that it's just ubiquitous. And maybe we can go into different systems now. I don't know. But I feel like Cortex Prime is uniquely, in my limited experience so far, it's been uniquely terrible trying to crack it. So, and reading Firefly, the rule book, so far has not helped. And part of it is because instead of explaining the rules, it spends like 110 pages or whatever writing out each episode's plot almost beat by beat as if it were run in a Cortex Prime series of sessions. And oh my God, is that like the most useless thing I've encountered in a book in a long time. I think it's supposed to be sort of like, programmed instruction. Like it's supposed to be a little bit of, hey, we're going to ease you into this. Like in the pilot, there's this and how you might do this. And hey, now let's try a very simple die mechanic to explain this moment. And by the end, it's sort of saying, the last one with Early, the bounty hunter, it's like, it's showing more intricate die rolls and contested roles and how, this person's doing this and spending a plot point to do that. But it's not saying like, hey, here's how plot points work. You can spend plot points on A, B, C, and D. Savage World says, you get a Benny, here are the 6 things you can do with it. Boom, boom. And so I'm wondering if the last section of the Book of Firefly is what I'm looking for with that kind of explanation. But the problem is that, it's at the end of the book. I've already read through a bunch of stuff that hasn't really helped me do anything. Like there's tons of templates for character types, but there's barely anything on making characters. And I think part of the problem is that Cortex Prime might not really be a system. And maybe that's all I'll say. It's so broad and generic in its ways that it's actually almost to a fault. So, all right. So let me see. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find if I've been sort of filling time because somewhere is a passage or something that I think I've missed and I don't know where it is. I could try going up there and see what happens. Let's see what's up here. Let me just save real quick. Again, save scumming. Because maybe you have to go down and then up. I don't know. What are we looking at? Tutselworm. All right, let's see what it does. Can I get 2 guys on there? I can. Let's see what happens. Somebody's hitting hard. Again, trading blows, I'm going to be fine, but Sighar's getting chipped away in a way that I wasn't looking forward to. Okay. So my fear is that this is the path with the king, not the treasure. And what I'm trying to do is I was trying to get down a level on the treasure path so I could, just murder all the kobolds as I needed to. And then wonder if I've got, let me try. Oh, okay. See if I can have Henri take a shot. I was just curious. No, I mean, everybody's in everybody's way, but I was just curious that if we had a moment, was that enough of a moment to... Can they get in there? 3, attack. Maybe. Oh, yeah, look at that. Tripling up on it, really. Again, C-Card, though, is just getting... So what I need to do is I need to go back down. This is not the right way. So let's Q 3, 2. Now 2. No. Now 2. Okay. I think pretty soon the illusion of all one sitting is going to be spoiled because I'm going to have to take care of some personal stuff in a minute. I'm losing my voice because I need another drink. I'm not sure if I can get back to this until potentially... Well, we're going to be, we had some work on our house done, and it's been a long time. The second phase of that was, in order to save some money, we were going to do some painting ourselves. I'm not good at that kind of stuff, but my wife actually, for her summer job at college, was a painter for a place in her hometown. So she kind of actually knows what she's doing, and she's going to sort of steer the process. And we're going to be doing that this weekend. It's currently Thursday. And I could start prepping the room. We're going to do one room now, one room in a little while. We've been busy, lazy, whatever you want to call it. After the construction, it took about 8 months. It's supposed to take 4 or 5. Took about 8. And it was, honestly, all things considered, relatively painless. There's always like little quirks and hiccups and whatever, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like we can really complain in any way. Which I think is saying something, for a slightly larger home renovation project. And, but it was, it was tiring. It took a lot out of us. It took a lot of money out of us, especially. You know, we're not rich by any stretch of the imagination. We got a kid about to go to college, and who the hell knows how anybody's supposed to pay for that? If you're, there's sort of like this Goldilocks zone of, you know, college tuition, and I say Goldilocks because it's actually like the antithesis of that. It's the exact, because they don't take cost of living into account. You can look like you make a ton of money, but live somewhere very expensive so that you're actually, poor is too strong a word, but you're not doing like amazing. But because they don't care, you know, about the cost of living part of your income, you end up basically unable to afford college for all intents and purposes. You know, there's like state universities which we could cover, but with private colleges, it's crazy. And I feel bad because, you know, you want your kids to go wherever they want to go, you know, like if they had a dream school in mind. At the same time, like, I don't think any college is worth, undergraduate especially, is worth the level of debt you might have to incur if you're in this shitty Goldilocks zone, if that makes any sense. So I don't know where I'm supposed to go. There's no way we explored everywhere, right? There's one ladder up. This is the ladder we came from. I don't even know where I am on the map. Anyway. So we should be, you know, I need to be much more, we all need to be much more frugal, but I really need to be a lot smarter about what I'm doing, because part of me is like, let's just have somebody paint the downstairs, and that way it's done. Because otherwise, you know, like, everybody's really busy, right? Everybody out there. So you find yourself doing stuff at awkward times because it's the only way to do it. But yeah, so like I could do some more Darklands, or am I near a door? Is there a door back here? Am I missing something? Anyway, so there's stuff I could be prepping for that as well. Or is that just like a leftover something? A message that didn't clear. But I confess what I really want to do is play more Darklands. But I am concerned that I don't know what's going on. This has a lot of waterfalls, but it doesn't have like the water seeping all over the floors, which the level where we were fighting the kobolds did have that. So I'm nervous that we're still a level shy. And somehow I've missed something. Like the possibility of a secret door. There's nowhere like obvious for where a secret door might be that I'm seeing. Like in the old like Ultima games, you sort of start to, there's a thing that you see whenever there's like a hidden door. There's a little dot in the wall. Here you can sort of just, I think I was sort of guessing by the layout. But yeah, let me see. Let's try up here just in case there's something here that I missed. Now, and again, this is part of the thing. Like this might be, I don't know, this might be intensely boring. I love this. Like I love exploring. I love sort of dungeon crawling around here and seeing what's going on. 09. That's still the same. Oops, forgot the numeric pad doesn't work. Let me check on Henri's equipment again, or at least compare it to Sigrun. All right, sorry, I also went and got a refill of water. Okay, so Sigrun has got, I think we're looking at leather cloth. Okay, well, that's part of the problem. Do I have any limbs that are better than cloth? What is chamomile? What is... Henri's looking at leather, but Sigrun seems to do better. Or maybe it's just because she doesn't get hit as much. Maybe they just go after Henri more. So let's take a look. So at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm kind of hoping for like a secret tunnel. Because I'm not sure what else to look for. So what I might do, you know, Sigrun's still saying near a door. That's not true, I don't believe. So what I might do, it's not like I can go like look it up because it's a procedurally generated level. But, so I'm not sure where else to look. It's going to be somewhere stupid and obvious, but part of me's thinking I call this finish exploring the level so you don't have to sit here and listen to me talk. Unless you want me to do a full Cortex Prime rant, even though, again, I want to save it for... I don't know how I would talk about it necessarily with the other guys because they haven't read the book. I don't know if they're familiar at all with Cortex Prime. But I feel like the discussion of it could, you know, potentially spawn some other questions. Maybe that's its value. There's a bloodstain. I assume at some point this is where we took out like hellhounds, maybe. I think the other thing is that if I call it soon, I can do the responsible thing of like do some painting prep and stuff like that. Just so I can say I've done a little bit of something before the game tonight. So that's potentially another interesting question as I, you know, at the top of this, apologize to Matt for doing this instead of rereading a ton of Pathfinder rules. You know, the question of like how much water should the GM carry for the players in terms of the rules? Given how we normally play, which is just like, I don't want to say pickup games, but like, you know, you just sort of get groups and, you know, you run sessions and it's, you know, potentially once a month. That's how my gaming used to be. I always felt like I was lucky to have the players, so I felt they should feel like they could just show up and I would take care of the rules overhead. Now that we're doing it more frequently, and I say that as, you know, Patrick's about to potentially be on baby duty for a while. Feel more of an obligation. At the same time, bizarrely, when the time comes for me to run stuff, I don't know if I'd reciprocate that expectation. Like, I feel like I should be more familiar with the Pathfinder rules. At the same time, when I'm running Mithras or whatever, I don't feel like the guys should be experts. Yeah, I really don't know where to look. Part of me wonders, do I go up a level my original way and see if there was a second path down? Maybe that's what I'll try. I'll double check this room. I just don't see how there might be enough room for a hidden door, but I guess you could make a door and... All right, well, let's go back up one level where I came, not the new level that I explored with before. Can I just click there? Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can do a quick look and then maybe I'll call that, or maybe I'll just stitch a couple sessions together again, so it's not taking up as much calendar space or whatever on the channel. Not that it matters. I saw Matt was playing Dark Souls 3 a couple times. He was streaming it, and sometimes I wonder, could it be interesting to stream something? But I don't know if that stuff's gonna ever come over. I don't know how serious he was, but I think in one of the streams, or maybe on the side somewhere, he said while Patrick's out, do he and I do some kind of deep dive into Souls? Because they are, they're CRPGs. They're very specific. I think they're worthy of a lot of discussion. Could be interesting. I don't know. Could be like a Bookhouse Boys of sorts. Okay, let's see what... Because, yeah, I mean, we definitely did not explore this level. Whoops. To its fullest. So, let's... Although we did find the riddle door, or whatever. And that's usually... Or did we? Or did we just find a ladder here? I lost track. I think is that where we came? Maybe it's just that ladder, right? Okay. A little quality of life, I guess, just to make it easier to get back down. Nope, there's a door there. You know what I should do? I should save scum. I see a little bit of a jump. Because I super duper got a new glass of water and picked up my daughter and had to take care of some other things. How do you use a chest? Open chest, pick lock, disarm trap. Can we search for a trap? Maybe we just try opening it and then it lets us know there's a trap. So let's see who has, I guess it'd be Artifice. I don't know if somebody has some. I just don't know how much. 4, 2, 26, Sigrun, 10. So it's going to be Sigrun. Okay. Nope. What else can we do? Nope. Makes sense. Okay. But it's not giving me any feedback. All right. You know what? Let's pause here. Maybe I'll stitch a second one together. You know, and you'll see a pretty obvious jump. But yeah, let's just pause so we can figure out what's going on. I think I just saved it, so it's not the end of the world. And yeah, we'll pick this back up. Yeah, I think what I'll try and do is I'll try and stitch together a second one, so I won't do the whole spiel. So thanks a lot, and yeah, we'll pick this up soon.